One can have no smaller or greater mastery than mastery of oneself, Leonardo da Vinci. And my friends, listen to Leonardo from all those ages past where he tells us, again, we have to master what it is we do. And we have to master ourselves. First, you've got to devote that 10 to 15 minutes each and every day following these markets. No matter how long it takes, just do the work. Once you master the markets, the world is your complete opportunity. Think about it. You can earn back, once you master the markets, every minute you ever spent doing it. But if you don't have faith, if you don't put in the time, you'll never get there. Now let's jump into these charts. We see everything up for the day except Bitcoin, down just a little bit. In fact, that is the Bitcoin future that we track. Bitcoin itself at this point is up 2.68%, but we'll talk about it when we get to it. I'm excited that we see the S&P 500 finally flipping over, going from red to green on the STC. Spinning top in the morning, some exuberance in the afternoon, heading up 2.64%. We're not jumping into any up position because we're below the 200 EMA. Of course, what does that tell us? Well, that tells us the market's in a downtrend on this half-day chart. What about the two-day chart? It is still in a downtrend there. Now, we can see we've not reached the low of last week. We have a red spinning top with a wick on top starting the week off. That's all right. We'll wait and see how that continues to develop on the weekly chart. Same kind of thing. We're not pushing below the 200 EMA here. This is important to note. Now, we may as the week goes along, but we are not on this first day of a 5-day candle, which is, of course, what the weekly chart represents. It's 10 times the size of our half day. And as we look at things, and it's 2.5 times the size of our 2-day chart. So as we look at things, we take into consideration the strength of these three different waves, the long term, the medium term, and the short term. Short term is up, everything is below. The other two charts are red. This is green. When we look at where things are, we're hoping to see things move up through this center zone here, where you see these two bands. They're really hard to see on this chart. Maybe I should darken that up a little bit. But we have these two interbands right here where it's a little bit grayer. Maybe I need to darken that up or change the color so you can see it better. But we want to go above this line here like we did on the last move. And then when things cross over, that gives us the ability to jump back into a down move. So like we said, the market doesn't go down constantly, doesn't go up constantly. It tends to go in steps. It'll go down, slide sideways for a while, maybe a little more. Then it might reset, pop up like we saw back there in early September. And then by mid-September, rotate over going down, gives ability to pull a chunk of 3.7% out of the market. What are we waiting for now? A reset here, moving above this center area like we saw back in mid-September, and the ability to short the market again if that's what happens. What do we see on the Nasdaq 100? Little different. We saw where things again tried to move up. We did not get into this. Why? Because you would have jumped in about here and you would have been taken out with a loss. That's why we don't jump in until things have cleared this center area and reset again like we saw with the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100 both on the 14th of September. Now, we look at where things are on the two-day. Two-day well below the 200 EMA and in the red, haven't reached the low, closer to it than the S&P 500, but haven't reached the low of last week or the last two-day candle there, and haven't reached the low of last week, although again, candle trying to push through, hasn't cleared the 200 EMA. It could still bounce off and move back up again, so we'll wait, watch, and see. But again, we see the two-day and the weekly are red on the STC. Green hopefully is resetting on the half day, and we'll be ready if indeed it moves up and then crosses back over going down before the end of the week. Where are we on bonds? Resetting very nicely. It has now moved above this center area. So if we see some strong down movement, we didn't see that today, up 1.35%, we'll be ready to go short again. A long, rather uncomfortable play here last time, 2.59%. It ended up being quite successful for us. Took longer than we like and was a little more iffy, but again, did well for us in TBF, which is the inverse fund for TLT. Now let's watch as we move through the week. Of course, we're still very negative under that 200 EMA. Same thing with the 2-day, very negative under the 200 EMA. I have to really track that in for you to even see it. What do we have developing here on this 2-day candle? Of course, a green spinning top. The first one we have seen in a while, since at the end of August, so not during the entire month of September. So we'll see what that portends. What did it portend for us before? Another drop. Simply means indecision. And of course, the weekly, where are we there? Of course, heading down. So quite strongly, but not touching that bottom of last week yet. So again, we will keep an eye on things. That is where we are on 20-year bonds. We'll go back to the half day. Move on to gold. Gold up for the day quite nicely, 2.43%, still well below the 200 EMA. Not ready to jump into gold yet. Gold could be resetting for another down move. It has cleared that center band, moved up. We shall see. If you have a lot of days like this, it won't be going short anytime soon, so we'll let the charts lead us. What about the 2-day? 2-day just starting to go green. That is a decent sign, folks. That is very good to see, but look, we're still well below the 200 EMA. We look at where we are on the weekly, and this is important. We had cleared the 200 EMA, and we're trying to move back up, at least this first day, trying to move up strongly in gold. So let's keep an eye on things. We're going to watch the weekly, see if we move back above that. We're going to keep an eye on the 2-day and see, how we move up toward the 200 EMA and how long we stay green here. And of course, we're going to keep an eye on the half day. Still has something to recover before we can hope to go long in gold. But wouldn't that be nice? Oh, I've been waiting to buy gold for quite a while. Shorted it, of course. We did well, 1.58% down. Can't wait to go long gold, though. Think about what gold is. I've told you guys this a few times over the last few weeks. Gold is something real. Companies can go bankrupt. Bitcoin can go to zero. Gold is something real. It has been a store of wealth for human beings for thousands of years. And I don't think that is ever going to change. Now, I don't want to buy gold at the wrong time because you can lose your pants on it. It's never going to go to zero, but it can absolutely lose value. All you got to do is look at the chart. I mean, you can track this chart back and you can see where gold has been, where it's come from, and where it's gone, but you can also see with that kind of movement how much you can get hammered by it. Lastly, let's go to Bitcoin. Where are we there? Well, we're of course tracking the Bitcoin future ETF. The one I like to track, the one we track here on the channel, is XBTF. It is the Van Eck Bitcoin short-term future ETF closed month. What do we see going on there? We can see it was up in the morning, lost some in the afternoon, ended the day at down 0.05%. Now, Bitcoin itself, different for the day. We can see how toward the end of, and again, this, we can see how it started off in the morning, moving up further in the afternoon, backing off a little bit as we move on toward the end of the day. This is a different chart than what we are tracking with XBTF. The reason we track XBTF is because it is a market-approved, exchange-traded fund. You don't have to trade it, buy it on a crypto exchange. It's traded on the open market. So it is a real ETF. And again, subject to those kind of regulations by the market, all the other things. We have found it to be trackable when Bitcoin actually is trackable. Again, lately, not so much. We're waiting, hoping to see Bitcoin find a good bottom so that we can start tracking it and practice trading it again. Now, as we look at where things are for the day, we can see where it popped up in the morning and then down in the afternoon. We look at where things are on the 2-day on Bitcoin. And again, as we've talked about, that 1820 mark or so is where Bitcoin has made a bottom a couple of times, right around in that area. We did go a little bit below that. Let's see, a week ago, 3 candles, 3 2-day candles ago. So again, we see indecision on these last 2 2-day candles. We look at the weekly. It, of course, is still in the red. What do we see going on there? Again, we see Bitcoin hanging around at about that 1820 mark. We're just waiting for it to sort itself out and show us where it's going to go. Is it going to actually bottom out here and finally make a stand and move up? Or is it just messing with us right now, getting ready to plummet some more? Don't know. But we will know as we continue to follow these charts and see where they take us. That's where we are, folks, as we end the day on Monday. Still 4 days left. We so appreciate you being with us. We love to hear from you. If you have questions, issues, do reach out to us. You can email us anytime, cw@chartingwealth.com. Patreon members, don't forget, we do have the live Q&A this Wednesday, 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.